Hey everybody, I'm Mike, and this is not your Mother's Day Fantasy League podcast. As always, I'm joined by Jason and Dave. Guys, how are we doing?
Doing well, Mike. How are you doing?
Oh, not too bad. From what I understand, we are a band of brothers with bronchitis,
Yes,
or
we are.
something along those lines. Jason was questionable for the stream. Dave was questionable for the stream. I called in sick Thursday and Friday with flu symptoms and am still dealing with some stuff. So bearing some coughs and sniffles, we'll make it through this.
We'll be alive.
But it is the week one of the playoffs. Definitely the most exciting time of the year for fantasy managers. This is, whoops, that's not what I meant to do. This is for all the marbles, and we may not have as long of a stream tonight because, as you know, there's only three matchups to talk about, but we'll probably get more into detail on those matchups.
Three matchups, and obviously seeding doesn't mean anything because the three wild cards are going to walk away with 3 wins this weekend, which is a total surprise. So it looks like the 2, 3, 4 seeds could all be going down after tonight.
Yeah, that is true. Some pretty improbable things had to have had occurred for what you're about to see. So that being said, we'll jump into mine. I'm going to lose. Congratulations, Dustin. Your team is apparently better than mine this week. I've got an 80-point deficit to make up. He's going to be running Kenneth Walker out there tonight. And I've got 4 defensive players. Now, they're good defensive players. I got Jordan Brooks, Jaron Reed, Kevin Byard, and Darius Slay going. But that's not going to make up the 100 to 120 points I'm going to need to make this thing interesting.
So that's your 4 or 5 seed right there. Another upset, and Dustin gets to stay alive in the playoffs and continue to defend his last year's championship.
Yeah, we can real quickly just address the elephant in the room. I got a goose egg, got a Tyreek Hill. The best flex in football that's not Christian McCaffrey. I was told he was going to play. I assumed he would. He went back out there for the second half last week. He did not play. My best case scenario, I could have started. Taxi Squad player Tucker Kraft was my best flex producer on the bench this week. So 20 points I could have gained out of that. So other than that, that's the big one. Josh Jacobs also did not play. So yeah, it is what it is. Um, just kind of looking at Dustin here. Huge week out of Montez Sweat, who's really played well since coming to Chicago. 24 out of Antoine Winfield. I mean, great player, no surprise there. Rashee Rice is really starting to look like Mahomes' preferred option because, well, that's not Travis Kelce.
They still don't.
Which is,
the rest of his receivers don't have hands, pretty much.
yeah, pretty much. Kind of a decent week out of Mahomes there. But yeah, what can I say? I mean, just clearly not enough out of my 5 wide receivers here. That's just not getting it done. So congrats to Dustin. We've got a similar thing going on here where Sean is going to most likely be moving on against Braxton with a 90-point lead.
Yeah, Sean came in as a 6 seed. Braxton fell down to the 3 seed. I don't think anybody saw this one coming except for Sean himself.
Yeah, especially, I mean, again, we can talk about the elephant in the room because this is just devastating to your team when it happens in week 14. Justin Herbert's out for the season.
Yep.
So Sean is going to be moving forward with Trubisky basically for the rest of the season.
Note on that, huge note on that this today, actually. Mike Tomlin came out and said that Mitch Trubisky will not be starting the rest of the season, and it's going to be Mason Rudolph.
Wow. So, well, you just basically, hopefully Sean's got a notification anytime that Trubisky is mentioned in the stream that, he gets a text and he can know to go look for Rudolph.
For another
Tis the season. I'm pretty sure he's available because nobody's even talked about that guy since they had to use him, 3 years ago? I think when Miles Garrett smacked him in the head with a helmet is the last time anybody talked about Mason Rudolph. But Sean, despite the adversity, is really handing it to Braxton here. Um, I mean, Dak and the Cowboys playing like the Cowboys, where they just disappear on the road during important games.
Cowboys are in the Cowboy playoff form right now after
Yeah,
yesterday.
they are, and Dak looked terrible last night. That interception he threw, I think I was just camped waiting on him to throw it to him. I didn't watch all that game, but I saw that pick. I'm like, what are you doing? The other part about even if now let's talk real quick about who they have left to consider if there's a chance here. Sean still got Bobby Wagner to play. Um, and Braxton still has AJ Brown. I'm assuming Hassan Reddick and not Josh Sweat. And I believe he's using extra corners and throwing out Devon Witherspoon and Reed Blankenship.
Yeah, he'll play Weatherspoon, but 90 points is going to be a tough one to overcome tonight.
Even if he were to overcome that, speaking of injuries, the untimely injury of Michael Pittman during that Colts game on what could potentially be a dirty hit. The guy is suspended for the remainder of the season.
Yeah,
Um,
it was nasty.
And of course, Tom Brady coming out and saying, well, that's not on the defensive player. The quarterback's got to throw it in the right spot. I don't know what's more annoying, Patriot Tom Brady or retired Tom Brady who expects everybody to play perfectly like he did. I don't know what's more annoying. Retired Tom Brady's getting really annoying already. So anyway, that means, Sean's going to be moving on in this matchup. And once again, Rich just piling on the points here. And he's going to run away with this one as well.
Yeah, Rich has also got a chance to get the highest score again for the week, sitting at 340. I think he's got 2 players left. I think Nick's got 1 player left. I don't know if Nick is part of that highest score or whatever, but Rich's
Gotcha.
team is firing on all cylinders right now.
Yeah.
Definitely think Rich is one of the favorites, honestly, here for the rest of the season to finish out strong.
I'm putting my money on Rich. So
I mean, just based on his point total over the last month, it's hard to argue that. I mean, Ty Chandler really went off this week. He really showed like he could be the guy about a month ago, and he finally played like the guy. But I mean, raise your hand if you thought Raheem Mostert would be the second highest scoring running back in fantasy this year. Look, Purdue used the guy as a special teams player, and he was a 5th rounder. So
He's also
nobody thought
very old. I think
he's
I saw a
31
graphic.
years old.
Yeah, he's the same age as Le'Veon Bell right now. He's a year younger than Gurley, or a year older than Gurley, one of the two. There was a couple of names that are just not in the game anymore that he seems to be in his prime in his 30s, I guess.
It's wild. I mean, he also happens to play for a great offensive system, loaded with other weapons. But yeah, nobody could have predicted this Raheem Mostert season where only Christian McCaffrey has outscored him.
He does have more touchdowns on the season than McCaffrey, I do believe, still.
Rushing TDs, yes. All-purpose
overall,
TDs,
no.
Yeah. The funny thing is, I saw this graphic earlier today. Christian McCaffrey and Raheem Mostert have scored more touchdowns than the New York Giants, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the New England Patriots. A fun tidbit for you. That's amazing.
Are you sure that Atlanta's not part of that equation also?
I don't think so. Maybe if they use like their first round picks, just a thought, in their offensive scheme. So
Too
anywho,
important to have equals.
getting what 85 out of your 3 running backs in a week. Yeah, that's getting it done. That's getting it done. Who else really blew up in this matchup? Of course, Danielle Hunter went off, which he's done all season long. But yeah, that's going to bring us to next week's matchups. So let me pull these up.
Well, hold on a
So that
second.
means,
You forgot to mention that, Rich still has Metcalf left to use tonight. So
oh
he's going to
yeah,
be piling on to that 340 mark.
If he doesn't get
yeah.
ejected, if Metcalf doesn't get ejected at some
Well,
point,
So,
well, who was it? It was Kyle Shanahan that said that part of their game plan last week was to just get in his head. It worked.
it should be every team's game plan. The dude, everybody just lives in his head rent free, and it's great.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah. So yeah, needless to say, yeah, Rich is going to end up with like 360, 370, which is looking pretty good.
well, let's
Now,
take with
like you,
Mike. Let's take with what we know, and with the winners that we're going to project today.
yep,
We're going to see a Rich and his Dolphins versus Nick and his Bengals. That's going to be a 1-7 seed. And then you're going to see the Dustin and his Titans play the Sean and his Broncos, who's a rematch of last year's MDFL championship game.
yeah. So, I suppose I'll use this week's numbers to kind of jump into this a little bit. So, we're going to have Sean versus Dustin. Who? Let's just talk about who you guys got in that matchup.
if for me, if Sean's able to get some magical quarterback fairy dust and do his thing again, if he can get some type of quarterback points, Sean's going to be tough to beat. But Dustin, week in, week out, he finds ways to win games. So I don't want to take anything away from him until somebody knocks the champ out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take Dustin in that one as well. I don't think with no quarterback play, unless Mason Rudolph gets benched quarter one and Trace McSorley isn't on the field, then it's game over for them then.
Yeah, it's a really tough spot. I mean, losing your quarterback in week 14, it's really hard to recover from that. Not to mention, Donta Foreman, the Bears are really barely using him anymore. And he really hasn't been that effective. I feel like Sean has more depth on his team than Dustin, but because of the quarterback dilemma here, it's really difficult to predict Sean here. So I think I'm with you guys. I think I've got to go with Dustin.
Well, do we have any free agent quarterbacks that's going to come into play?
Well, Mason Rudolph, I'm assuming is available. I mean, we could look real quick. He also, Dustin also has a healthy Justin Jefferson now. That's
Also,
obviously
though, with a
huge
third
for him.
string quarterback throwing to him, so I mean,
It's going to diminish his production for sure, but he's still the best receiver in football. So I'll still, should be able to hang his hat on 20 a night.
Well, Mason Rudolph is out there. Also, take a look at the Seattle quarterback situation.
Geno's playing tonight.
If Geno plays tonight, but if Geno doesn't play, Drew Lock's available also. So,
yeah, he's gonna have to make some some tough moves. And again, it makes you just wonder why a guy like Jake Browning would go for vet minimum. I'm still just wondering. He scored 33 again this week, by the way.
I want to see one more thing here. Hold on, let me pull that up. Does Sean have any cap money? Yeah, Sean's got 18 million in cap money. He can go get a quarterback. So
yeah, you can get.
He'll probably get the best free agent quarterback you can off the list.
Yeah. Okay. So we're all leaning Dustin because of the quarterback play, and regardless who he gets out of that Steelers team, that Steelers offense is not scaring anybody. So that's a rough situation for him. All right. So I pulled up Rich's team first, who you guys are saying you're picking as the favorite over Nick.
I give Rich the benefit of the doubt and the points here over Nick. I know Nick's the number one seed. Nick's been playing well all year, but I don't think there's been a hotter team than Rich and his Dolphins for the last month and a half, 2 months. And
Rich
I
has
don't see
scored
any reason why
300
that's going to slow down.
Rich has scored 300 for what, like a month straight at this point?
He's been scoring like 350 for a month straight.
Yeah.
It's really pretty unreal at this point.
He figured his team out at the right time, and it's gonna.
He's got Jalen Warren on the bench, who's been very productive. He didn't even get to use Keenan Allen this week, and
Right.
he's the third or fourth highest scoring receiver in football this year.
He's got Trey McBride still on the bench. Trey McBride's putting up crazy points every week. Like he's
Of course,
got
the other
depth.
thing, he does have depth. Yeah, he really does. The only other thing to consider, I don't know what injury Keenan Allen has, but also, of course, his main quarterback is not there, Herbert, to throw him the ball.
It, the other thing to look at is, Josh Allen. He's got Josh Allen and who they're playing next week. So the Bills are playing the Chargers next week, and the Chargers are giving up points like no other.
Chargers have the worst pass defense in all of football.
Yep. So I would expect Josh Allen just to go off.
The only thing that we would have to, look at is do they use James Cook the way they did last week or against the Cowboys, because he ran all over them. There was no stopping that man.
James Cook has been very productive the last month. So since our commission is actually watching and commenting, then I guess we should go ahead and show his team and talk about it. I mean, the most obvious thing here is he's got the number 3 scoring quarterback with the highest scoring running back in football. So that's going to give him a shot regardless. That's going to give him a shot. It's kind of wild because that's another team with a 3-head. I mean, I'm not going to say Chuba Hubbard makes this a 3-headed trio because nobody's afraid of Chuba Hubbard in the Panthers offense. But this is another team that has more running back depth than receiver depth, which I just find interesting. 59 out of Bradley Chubb. I think he was this week's highest scoring team or highest scoring player.
See, yeah. I just don't see. I mean, Chubb is not going to duplicate that in next week's game.
They have the Eagles or the Ravens.
The winner of this game is going to have to put up 360, 370 next week.
And I honestly see Rich doing that more often than Nick does, honestly.
How many games has McCaffrey scored over 50, though? I mean, one.
Yeah,
okay, second time. Yeah.
And they play the Ravens next week. The Ravens have a really good defense, but it's still McCaffrey. Like, he's not going to put up 50 points. I can honestly see McCaffrey putting closer to, mid-20s, lower 30s against the Ravens defense.
Just his ability in the passing game, he's never going to have a bad fantasy game. Just he's the biggest part of their offense.
He should be the MVP, in my opinion. Should be the MVP of the league this year.
Brock came out and said that the other day.
He did. Now, if I could get a discount on his holdout contract for winning MVP, then I'll go ahead and champion for that.
Well, I still tell you that you better hope that they clinch early and they rest him a week or two.
Yes, sir. Well, Herbert's done. So it really just comes down to Mahomes and C.J. Stroud passing him up.
So
I don't like my chances. It's kind of wild to think. Now, I'm just going to say it because I know he's watching. I've never said what Brock Purdy is or will be, but the fact that he is outplaying Patrick Mahomes this year is all you need to know. The guy's been ridiculous.
And he's outplaying in my opinion, he's literally outplaying every quarterback in the league. He is the best quarterback in the league this season specifically.
And that is amazing for Mr. Irrelevant.
Nobody saw that coming, including me, and I'm lying if I tell you that I did. So he's a great player. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying I saw before they ever put him in that this seventh rounder out of Iowa State was going to be amazing. Nobody knew that. So I just got lucky and picked him up.
for a
Um,
minimum salary.
for vet minimum.
You
For
forget
no
a
longer.
minimum salary.
I know.
You're getting
uh,
franchise quarterback numbers for minimum salary. That comes to an
uh,
end.
yeah, it does. Too good to be true. Second year, I'm gonna have to pay someone on a holdout. But yeah, I mean McCaffrey, Rashad White's been really consistent, especially of late. Man, it's tough. I still believe Nick has a much deeper defense. And again, he's got McCaffrey and Hurts. And so there's just those two guys alone are gonna make this interesting. I don't know. I'm since you guys are taking Rich, I'll take the one seed. I'm not pandering because he's our only viewer. I'll take
Way,
Nick.
way to go, Mike, the brown noser.
This isn't going to get you off of paying
I'm sure
30.
there will be a kickback there from Nick for you for something.
yeah. I'll just be the contrarian here. That hey, somebody's got to pick the one seed. Like I guess it'll be me.
The commissioner will do his little magic, and you'll have a stat correction.
Yeah, but again, he's got a lot of depth, especially on the defensive side. And he's just got those two of the best players to have on the offensive end. It's going to be crazy.
Well,
Like you said, it's going to be 360. It's going to take to win it.
I called it a couple weeks ago. Nobody's going to want to play Rich in the playoffs, and this is why, because he's throwing up points like it's easy, no big deal, and I think it just continues.
Who did we say the Bills play next week?
Chargers.
The Chargers.
Oh God, man. Now there are those games where Josh Allen plays down to his competition, but I just don't see it against this Chargers team. If Aiden O'Connell can chuck 4 TDs against the Chargers, then Allen's going to have like 5 and 2 rushing to go with it. That's a brutal matchup. Um, so we talked about who the Niners face. Who do the Eagles play next
The
week?
Eagles play the Giants next week.
Oh, so Jalen Hurts could go off too.
Yeah, but it could be a heavy running game though too.
That still may benefit Hurts. They will use him in that game.
Only if it's 3rd and goal or 2nd and goal, and they get that tush push. Doesn't help.
But yeah, that's almost like a guarantee anymore. But so there you go. Those are, I guess, all of this week's matchups.
That's all of last week. That's next week's matchups, and I'll just highlight the for us losers who are not in the playoffs, the elusive 217 run. I guess I should say is Dan's leading that right now with 308. He's got one left to play. Joey's in second with 305. He's out of players. Found himself a quarterback in Flacco this week, and Gavin's pulling up third with 267. So you still had 2 teams over 300 points playing for that 217, the elusive 217.
Oh, that is fun, isn't it? Good extra incentive to stay active while the playoffs begin.
Well, again, I'm amazed at what 217 was last year. 217 was Laporta, who put up 3 touchdowns this week. So that's what a 217 could do for you.
Yeah.
How he fell to 217, I have no idea. Why he got traded around 4 times this year, I don't know either.
No kidding.
I'd like to have him back.
Let's go a little bit further into the future. So what it sounds like we are predicting is Dustin's Titans versus either Rich's Dolphins or Nick's Bengals. Unfortunately, we are discounting the Broncos because of his quarterback dilemma. Who you guys got in those potential matchups?
I honestly have whoever wins the 1-7 seed is winning.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that.
Probably accurate.
I don't want to discount Dustin because he does, as you said earlier, he does seem to just win, find ways to win, but
Yeah.
there's no beating the two highest scorers in the league.
Well, the other part is if Nick wins, with him being the commissioner, he probably gets 15 people that end up quitting because Nick just set this up all for himself. So we'll all be up onto his conspiracy theory here. So we can't let Nick win.
I've said for the longest time, especially in fantasy football, there are three equal factors it takes to win. One is your draft. You have to draft the right players. Two, your activity and free agent pickups, waiver wire, and trading. If you don't draft the right players, can you trade pieces to get the right players? And three, injuries / luck.
Luck.
If
Yep.
if you think that you are the master drafter and you made all the right trades, I guarantee you will lose at least once because of luck, which ties into injuries. You may have the best team and you can still get curb stomped. Nick knows exactly what I'm talking about. His name is T. Higgins, and he dropped 55 on me 3 seasons ago when I outscored every other team by 400. So anyway, sometimes you just face the wrong team during the wrong week. Sometimes your best player goes down in the playoffs. This stuff happens, and if you ignore it, in my opinion, you're ignoring 1/3 of what can make you successful in football. The only problem is there's no way to affect that last third.
Mike, what's the primary feeling right now I'm hearing from you?
Anger. I think it's
I'm
anger.
I'm a bit chapped. I thought I had a legitimate shot this year, and then two of my best players were unavailable the first week of the playoffs. And yeah, that sucks. I'm just extremely annoyed by it.
It
Yeah.
sounds like you're still chapped about T. Higgins going off on you a couple of years ago.
I did. I had the best team by a lot. I had Cooper Kupp's career year, Jonathan Taylor's career year, Austin Eckler's career year, Mark Andrews' career year, and Tom Brady's last effective year, all on the same team, and I lost. Oh, Higgins. That's how. Okay. All right.
Sorry. Take a deep breath. You're okay. It's in the past.
Nick is seeing me melt down live on the recap show.
This will be Mike's last week on the show.
Yeah.
Hey, the good thing about this is not many people will see it.
I know. And honestly, I'm just kind of playing it up for the entertainment value. So there you go. I think that probably wraps up this week's show. We still need to talk about what we're doing next week, guys. I think that means we're probably having a Christmas Eve show. Is that what we're doing? Otherwise, we're doing it Christmas night, and that wouldn't bother me. But we'll have conversations. The show will go on. We're just not sure what day yet.
Well, I don't have a whole lot going on in my life. I got no pickleball going on that night, so I'm good to go. You just tell us when.
Okay.
I may have to do it remote somewhere else, but we'll get it done. We'll get the show going.
I may have to do that for the New Year's show, so we'll see. But the show goes on. The MDFL League continues, and so does the podcast until the season's over. So good luck to those of you that are technically still alive tonight. Not including me. I'm technically not alive. It's over, guys. It's over. So that being said, should be a decent game at least. Eagles, Seahawks, not a bad matchup. A lot of players going tonight. Should be a fun game. More football to play. Hey, how about the Falcons still being alive in the playoff?
I don't even want to hear about it. We're going to lose to the Colts next week. We'll end up losing to the Bears the weekend after that. I tell you what,
Oh
Arthur Smith has got
no.
to get fired. You watch. They're gonna lose. They're gonna drop 3 in a row. They'll drop 3 more in a row.
You guys can't lose to the Bears. Come on now.
The Bears outside, absolutely they will. Outside in the cold, yes they
It will
will.
be in Chicago. You're right. And the Falcons will probably rest their first round offensive players.
Well,
So
he got a whopping 7 carries this week. They used him as a lead blocker so Cordell Patterson could get a touchdown. Yes, they did.
oh my God. How did they not fire Arthur Smith like before the ref even has his arms in the air for the touchdown?
He should
Like
have been. He needs to be fired at halftime. I mean,
yeah.
it's
They
garbage.
should have fired Staley at halftime.
I mean, when you got London and Pitts and Bajan and you can't use them. I mean, get a clue, dude.
Yeah, it's pretty
You know,
wild.
Bajan only had 7 touches in that game. Okay, against the Panthers. I get it. He fumbled. Okay, it's going to happen. But give the damn guy, the rock 20 times. Let him
Yeah.
break one. But not going to happen on 7 touches.
Crazy. And well, I mean, I guess the good thing is there were only 50 people in the stands to watch that game in person. So.
Tickets were $4 before the show, and the day before there were tickets available for 50 cents.
50 cents.
You're gonna end up paying more in fees than you are in for the actual ticket.
And you know that the people that were there had to be there because they were friends and family.
Yeah. The only people that made money in that arrangement is SeatGeek.
Yep.
All right, guys. It was fun. Enjoy your night. Go Seahawks. I'll always root for an upset. Why not?
Yeah, I'm rooting for the Seahawks as well.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm probably going to bed early trying to get rid of this sore throat and get back to where I'm healthy and not quite so doubtful.
Yeah, I hear you there. All right. So here's to a more healthy podcast next week. Good luck to everybody that's still alive. We will see you next week at some point.
See you guys.
Later, guys.